And as we look back, think about this. Dr. King was only 39 years old when he died. Joining us this morning for today's panel on the legacy of Dr. King, three of the best minds in politics, BNC contributors Tezlyn Figaro and Atiba Madyun, and attorney and president of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, Timothy Allen Simon. Atiba, I'll begin with you. We can spend a lot of time talking about King's legacy. We do that all the time, but we need to talk about moving the ball forward. And the enemy today is fear. And I can remember integrating schools and even my hometown TV station. Then there was fear about what we were like. And I will never forget the first time I went to shower after our first basketball practice. You would have thought it was a science fair experiment. White people had never seen black people before. Those days are gone. So why are we still facing so many obstacles?
Insecurity. You know, often I go back and talk about slavery, and you said that those white people had never seen a black person, I guess, naked in a or changing in a changing room. But if you look back to slavery, that they knew, they examined us physically, mentally, and spiritually. They stripped us of everything. But you know, with you and what you did, as well as with others like Dr. King, it was about the boldness. It was about stepping forward and having courage. And so when we look at today and we look at how far we've come, I don't know if we've really talked enough about necessarily how far we've come or how we got here. Because, you know, with Dr. King and with the civil rights movement, they agitated and how they were able to get, you know, things done in Selma, how they were able to get things done in Birmingham. It was all through agitation, and they were bold. And that's what we see today with a lot of the young people, a lot of women who are out here on the front lines of being bold and holding people accountable. For instance, with this voting rights piece, the president, I don't think, ever would have spoken forward in Georgia were it not for people like Dr. King and John Lewis and many others. But it's the boldness that I think that we have to also think about, because often, as E.J. Dionne said in a Washington Post opinion editorial, that often we make Dr. King seem bland. He and the civil rights movement were never bland. They were always very strategic, and they were very agitated.
Tezlyn, one of my closest advisors on issue of race, explained that white America is afraid that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans and others will do to them what they did to us. Your thoughts on that premise? You're muted. Do we have you?
Okay, we do.
Okay, we got you.
But yeah, I completely agree with that. That there is absolutely a fear that Black people will go from just being bold, as was just laid out, to actually being revengeful. This morning, I was just spending all morning long listening to, and I encourage everybody to listen to MLK's speech, "Give Us the Ballot." And he laid out how the government has failed us and how it was not about political parties, one or the other, but really looking at those who are with us and those who are against us. And then also listening to Malcolm X's "The Ballot or the Bullet." I love listening to both of those speeches back to back, because I think it is important to show two different lenses on that era, and how we can do two things at once. We can have a one approach, and then we can have a second approach, to have a collective effort, all moving towards the same goal. And even on this panel, you know, this is my favorite panel to be on with these gentlemen. We don't always agree. But we certainly agree towards the goal of freedom. And so all of that agitation and that passion to moving towards freedom is very important in how we continue with progress.
And on the issue of agreeing and not agreeing, and I'm glad you brought it up, because one of the things that seems to be missing, Mr. Simon, is that tug of war, that back and forth. Without Malcolm, rather, there would not have been a successful Martin, excuse me. But the bottom line was white America was afraid of Malcolm X. As a result, Dr. King sort of became the person that they liked, the good Negro, if you would. He wasn't, as Atiba pointed out. He had many strategies that people didn't even know, and there was collaboration behind the scene. Do you think sometimes we have a tendency to oversimplify what happened in the 1960s?
Oh, no doubt. And I'm old enough to have been around at that time. And I remember Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee, the legendary acting couple, saying that they once cornered Malcolm X at a reception in Harlem and criticized him for referring to them and the civil rights organizations as handkerchief heads and other disparaging remarks. And he said to them, don't worry about it because you are the alternative. They're now going to go to you instead of me. He understood that. And we have to have diversity of thought within our community. But I believe where we unify is on the issue of access to the ballot. It is a right, it is not a privilege. And I think the Republicans are trying to make it a privilege to get into the ballot box when in fact it is a constitutional right. It's a fundamental right. And that has to be emphasized to all voters, not just African Americans, because it could be you next. So, you know, it's critical at this point that this be an American effort to remove restrictions to the ballot, not just an African American community.
You're leading the charge into our next segment, Tezlyn, Atiba, Timothy. We are going to take a break.